What's up, guys? This is Rise, and welcome to another video where we are showcasing a brand new addition to the Great League. We've seen Giratina Origin make its waves in the Master League. Some people even use it in the Ultra League, but for the first time ever, you can get one, attain one below 1500 CP and use it in the Great League. How is this possible, Rise? In the new Sinnoh Tour research, you are able to get a research Giratina that is pretty low level, and if you trade it with a friend, if it gets below a certain IV, it's able to go below that 1500 CP mark. We have two different battlers that sent us in Giratina Origin battles. The first battler, I don't want to mispronounce your name, my man. Menegat, I don't know. I don't want to butcher your name. So he also goes by Enrique, so we're just going to call him Enrique. And I thank you, Enrique, for the submission. And first opponent is going to be Daco, and the second battler we're going to feature in this video is a very familiar face on the channel. That is Ficht, who sends us awesome battles all the time. And we're also going to get two different elo ranges, right? We're going to get 2600s here, see how Giratina performs as the opponent catches, but it's not a catch they really want to make. Shadow Ball onto the Cresselia, big damage, and here comes Gira making its first appearance. Gonna get a big potential farm down here. I think you want to respect the Moonblast. Or not. But look at that. Actually able to withstand the Moonblast. So a decent amount of bulk on Giratina. Normally when you have these Pokemon that are capable of reaching really high levels in the lower leagues, they're extremely frail, extremely glassy. The fact that it was able to live a Moonblast, super effective, is kind of impressive. It's not the glassiest Pokemon in the world. A bit of a weird battle to start things off there, but good to see and get a feel for. Enrique searching for his next opponent. And yeah, sometimes also, since this is such a global game and we get players that submit battles from all over the world, sometimes I get scared if I'm like, if someone has a name that's like based in a different language or something, and I'm like saying a bad word in a different language, it's scary. Not that anyone would do that to me, but you never know. Can never be too careful. Skeledirge versus Talonflame. Gonna make the catch onto Dragonair. If this is a fly, though, this is still gonna hurt. Yeah, fly. Really strong move. Does lure out the Whimsicott, though. And that's one nice thing about the structure of this team he's got going. He's got two dragons, and Dragonair can lure out the potential fairy types, which Skelly hopefully can clean up. And as long as this Whimsicott isn't running Hurricane, should be able to take anything here, no problem. Even a Moonblast, gonna be resisted. Wow, second time his opponent has got the Moonblast debuff. Unlucky. In comes a Politoed, but dude, this Giratina is gonna fare really well against this back line. I wouldn't have minded to see just the instant swap, but I think this makes sense as well. Get off your second Shadow Ball, and then sweep with the Giratina. They let both go through. Oh, Politoed doesn't react quickly enough, doesn't get off any energy. And all of a sudden, this Talonflame is in some trouble. Gonna resist the Incinerate damage. Actually lets the first one go through, calling the Flame Charge. Kind of ridiculous. Kind of a ridiculous call there. Because I feel like a Fly would have done enough where eventually the Incinerates might have added up over time. So I don't know if calling that was actually the right play, but it worked out. Still has both shields to hide behind. There's no way that Talon's going to get to 3 charge moves here before Giratina gets to another move. The opponent just trying to vamp up their Incinerate damage as much as possible, but to no avail as flying Giratina, excuse me, going to deliver the final blow and knock out the Talonflame. G to the G. I also was lucky in my own research to get a shiny Giratina from the research. So let me know in the comments. Anybody else get a shiny Giratina? I posted it on Twitter because I want to do a mirror trade with somebody, and I got like a dozen people reach out to me saying they'll be at different events if I want to do the trade, and I'm like, oh no. I posted it, and now I don't know who to do the trade with, but it's a good problem to have. We'll see. We shall see. Here we go. Skelly into Scraft. He actually calls the power-up punch bait. Enrique plays like an absolute savage. He just calls bait after bait. Disarming Voice would definitely one-shot Scrafty from this range. Double super effective fairy damage. Damage that Scrafty does not want to take one bit. Correctly shields the foul play. Does pivot into D-Nair. And this could be a foul play, I believe. So, but not going to respect it. And calls another power-up punch. Dude, playing out of his mind in the head of the opponent. Going to throw the body slam right before the X-Scissor. Very nicely done. Body slam connects. And the opponent gets a little greedy. They needed to throw their X-Scissor right away. They got greedy doing an extra Volt Switch, and now they have to sacrifice their Charge-a-Bug. Maybe they come back in with Scrafty to counter down here. No, going to come with Golbat. And this is a little bit concerning, I would say. Yeah, got to come in with Dirge. Because up so much energy, you don't want to give Golbat a chance to like bait and then land Shadow Ball on your Giratina. I think you just put it all on Gira at this point. Yeah. Because they have to expend a Shadow Ball to knock you out. They bait, dude. Has he called 3 baits this game? This is crazy. I wasn't counting. Does he even have the Shadow Ball energy? Oh, he does. Yikes. That's no bueno. Goes for Disarming Voice. Unfortunately, the Scrafty is still there, correct? So Scrafty's just going to be able to counter down the Ghost type, which is painful. But sometimes that happens. Tough way to lose there. Enrique just tried to call one too many baits, and his opponent was able to land the hard-hitting Shadow Ball in the end. Slow Poker Richard. So next opponent, Skeledirge Mir. Here we go. Skelly versus Skelly. Gonna immediately pivot, understanding that he wants to lure out the Giratina counter with Dragonair, and that's exactly what he's doing. Lures out the Dugong. Pretty tough matchup here for D-Nair, but Dugong does have to throw energy. Otherwise, if they don't, Dragonair gets to 2 body slams, and now the opponent will probably have to shield. From the opponent's perspective, maybe that is still fine because you can get off double drill run here. They throw an alignment. I think they still get there. Are they like 1 away maybe, or they already have it? They already have it. So they throw back-to-back drill run, and it looks like he's totally fine with this. Enrique just going to let both of these drill runs go through. Going to farm down with Giratina up a shield. You already know there's a Skeledirge. But what's going to be the third Pokemon? Skeledirge comes back in. Oh, man. Going to throw the Shadow Ball before a potential Disarming Voice, forcing the opponent to either use their last shield or shield to get off the Disarming. They let it go. Shadow Ball connects in. There's an Annihilation back. And Giratina is going to sweep the entire team here. Shadow Ball, or excuse me, Night Slashed is going to get shield. And I think baiting the Ominous Wind here. Excuse me. Ominous Wind draws the final shield. Can safely just shield up a Night Slash, no problem. And Ominous Wind should be enough from this range. Or maybe he'll BM, go for the Shadow Ball. No, he's just going to completely farm down. Knows his counts. And that is going to deliver a nice win for Enrique. Should have 1 or 2 more battles with Enrique's team before we switch to Ficht. And Enrique apparently very popular, and getting these Instagram DMs. Skelly versus Shadow Cradilly. Rock Slide will, of course, hurt here, but it won't quite one-shot, so it doesn't necessarily need to shield. Gonna let Rock Slide go through. That does a lot, though. That does a lot. The Bullet Seeds, luckily, don't do anything, so Cradilly's gonna have a hard time farming all the way down here. They do shield the Shadow Ball. They come in with Annihilate, but I don't know if that was the right play, because now you have to potentially shield a Disarming Voice here. You're down both shields, and you're clearing the way for Giratina Origin. Giratina Origin finally getting some playing time in the Great League. Gonna get off this Ominous Wind. This will knock out the Annihilate, and we'll see if Cradilly comes back. Oh, gets the boost. Ominous Wind, similar to Ancient Power, has the chance to buff your attack and defense 1 stage, and now this Giratina looks to just sweep the entire team. Boosted Shadow Ball, massive damage. Doesn't even need to shield here against Lantern. And can just save a shield for the Rock Slide from Cradilly. And Cradilly's not even going to get it off because Giratina wins charge attack priority. Shadow Ball delivers the knockout. And Dragonair gets to take the game off. Load management for Shadow Dragonair. That is a 4-1 set for Enrique. And we will pivot over to Mr. Ficht, who always brings us exciting battles. Oh, wait, no, that's the same one. Here it is. Ficht, rocking a different team, featuring Dugong and Bronzong, or La Bronzong, as we like to call it on the channel. We see in this first battle, the Azumarill lead, swaps in Bronzong, was trying to probably catch a Play Rough or an Ice Beam. Unsuccessful, the opponent was wise and patient with their energy. Lures out the Gligar, and this is not like a super hard counter matchup. I would say it's definitely favorable for Gligar because the Dig does so much, but Dig is not going to one-shot, as you see, so they're still going to have to go for an Aerial Ace, and Bronzong actually gets off the Psyshock first here, winning a charge attack priority, going to flip switch advantage, and now all of a sudden, okay, this Steel Wing down is a little concerning, but now you can get Giratina on Skarm and Dugong on Azu, potentially. Is that what you go for here? Gonna get off the Shadow Ball on a charge attack priority. Will this connect, or will they elect to let Skarmory absorb this? I said the same thing there repeatedly. Connect or absorb, that's the same thing. I meant to say connect, or will they invest a Protect Shield? Anticipates the combo play and catches the move onto Dugong. What a terrific catch. It's also a double resisted Ice Beam as opposed to a neutral Play Rough. That is crazy. Gonna get off the Icy Wind here. I don't mind this play. I kind of like it because you're gonna be locked in this matchup for a decent amount of time. You might as well debuff the Azu, take less damage from the bubbles from the Play Roughs, and allow yourself to potentially come out of here with more energy. That Azu had so much energy. It's already in another move. Drill Run coming through. And now the Azu is approaching Drill Run range. So honestly, you might have needed that Icy Wind for a little extra damage anyway. In comes Skarm. Gonna stay in. And gets off the Icy here. This is a little bit suspect because now you start to worry, if a Skarmory Brave Birds, like, is that going to collect my final shield? No, not going to shield here against Skarm. And it's just the Sky Attack. That is massive. If it was a Brave Bird, I think the opponent might have been able to win this. But now you can overfarm. You're almost at the double Ominous Wind. And the bubble damage, of course, from Azu isn't concerning. So you just want to make sure you have energy before Azu can get to a game-winning charge move. Goes for the full farm down, has that Shadow Ball loaded, and this will definitely be enough to knock out the bulky Azumarill. Shadow Ball knocks out and delivers a win for Mr. Ficht. Here we go. Gira into a Water Gun Lantern. Very solid matchup for Gira. Going to resist everything that the Lantern can throw. Of course, Lantern's so bulky, going to be able to probably chip away and hold its own here. But a matchup that Giratina should be able to win. If Shadow Ball connects, we'll probably put it within Ominous Wind range. Shadow Ball does connect. And going to go for this Ominous Wind on the charge attack priority. Ominous Wind, you got to presume they let it go. Which they do. And a boost! Ominous Wind boost for Giratina. What's going to come in to greet it? Nothing, apparently. They were not prepared. They were not prepared for the Gira. Tough lead here. Going to pivot into Dugong. And met by a Stunfisk. This is not that bad. This is not that bad at all for Dugong. Let's see how Ficht elects to play this. Do you throw the Icy Wind or do you throw the Drill Run? He's going to overfarm quite a bit and throw the Icy. Now, if he can get a shield here, all of a sudden this matchup looks to be in his favor. Doesn't get the shield. So the Rock Slide will threaten to nearly knock out. So he's going to put up a shield. But because he debuffed the Stunfisk, it doesn't seem like Rock Slide will quite knock out. They correctly call the Drill Run there. I think you let this go and you still get off a move and you take shield advantage. Rock Slide, yeah, doesn't quite knock out. Still going to get off this move and going for the Icy. This is a little risky because if the opponent elects to let this go, it's not going to knock out. But Ficht makes the right read. And now the Stunfisk is double debuffed, where you don't really need to shield an Earthquake here. Double debuffed Earthquake, not going to do as much as it otherwise would have, of course. They are going to reach a second charge move, which is not great, but I think you got to save that shield for Bronzong. You know that Giratina's already in a tough matchup against Dinair. Could have tried to throw the Shadow Ball, but elects not to. Instead, pivots Bronzong and is matched up against Skarmory. Not a great matchup for Bronzong, but not bad either. And now you got to wonder, what's the win con? The opponent is down shields. I personally don't think you shield Bronzong. I think you save your shield and just deliver the Shadow Ball. Okay, maybe not. Correctly shields the Braver. The opponent actually went for it. I guess either works. Now you can just pay back. Now you can just pay back the Dragonair, going for Psyshock instead. I don't think you get to the second Psyshock, though, unless I'm mistaken. Pivots, has the move. I think there were multiple avenues he could have gone to win that endgame, so multiple options for Ficht. He went for the Psyshock, the combo play, and it worked out well. Giratina against Skeledirge. Good matchup. In comes Dugong. Bronzong Face Off. This is interesting because with super effective drill run, this can't be very comfortable for Bronzong. 2 drill runs going to be enough to basically knock out. They actually go for the Icy Wind bait, which I don't necessarily agree with from the opponent because you're not super motivated to shield drill run in the first place because you know they're going to need 2 to knock out. Unless like Icy plus drill run is all you need, maybe then it makes sense. Does correctly shield this second drill run and throws after, oh no, doesn't throw after 2. Confusion. Throws after 3 instead. Going for the Psyshock here. Psyshock knocks out, so able to keep switch advantage at the cost of a shield. Skeledirge comes in. Did not want to give a massive farm. If Skeledirge gets all that farm, that is bad news. So is willing to give up switch to not give Skeledirge such a farm down. And this is kind of good. Kind of good. Because you come back in with Bronzong, I would presume. And it's basically going to come down to Dugong against Skelly in the back. Which Skelly does win, but you're not exactly like even energy, even health. So some shenanigans could ensue. Oh, able to double up on Psyshock. This is massive because now he can get a Psyshock worth of chip onto the Skeledirge. And now all you need to do is land a drill run to beat the Skeledirge. So suddenly you're... Oh, they actually let it go. Okay. This is really interesting. I don't think drill run is quite enough to knock out, but maybe after a few more ice shards, it will be enough. Correctly shields the Shadow Ball. Going to throw drill run after 1, not messing around. And a Shadow Ball still isn't enough to knock out Dugong. And look at the low health of Skelly. Skelly, unless it has back-to-back moves, which I don't think it has, not going to be enough to knock out Dugong. And Dugong prevails. A nice example of when it's okay to give up switch advantage to still win the game. Here we go. Whiscash. It's a purified Whiscash. Kind of funny. I doubt they're running return. Going for a Mud Bomb here. Mud Bomb still chunks. Doesn't quite two-shot, but pretty close. Goes for a Shadow Ball on the second charge attack priority. Shadow Ball does get shielded by the Whiscash. Nice call. Gonna shield up as well. I think probably could have tanked it and got to Shadow Ball, but maybe was afraid of getting sniped by something. Catches a move onto the Dugong. Very nicely done. Dugong going to eat the Aerial Ace, no problemo. And work its way up to that Icy Wind. I consider this a favorable matchup for the Dugong just because you're able to hit for those neutral Icy Winds, which are a little bit of a stronger move than the Aerial Aces. Aerial Ace, not as bad as it once was since it got buffed, and it's very cheap energy now, but still not the hardest hitting move in the world. Going to be able to tank another Aerial Ace. This is the 3rd one, I believe, that Dugong is in, or maybe the 4th. Goes for the Icy Wind here. Will this be enough to knock out Mantine? Yes, it is. In comes Whiscash. Little bit concerning here if you get Mud Shot down. So actually, Whiscash does elect to throw a Mud Bomb. And we know that there's some stored energy on this Giratina. The opponent knows it as well. I wouldn't have hated to see Ficht throw a move to at least grab a shield or inflict a lot of damage, but this seems fine as well. Because of the bulk of Bronzong, I don't think 2 Weather Balls is quite enough. So Still seems to be in a fine position. These confusions are really chunking. And you almost like undercharge this maybe, because you don't want to give Whiscash a huge farm. I guess Fig isn't too worried about that. Doesn't feel like he's at jeopardy of getting farmed, because does reach the Psyshock. Very nicely done. This probably forces the final shield, and you have the Shadow Ball loaded. No, the opponent recognized, if you're wondering why not shield, they recognize there's a Shadow Ball loaded. They had to save their shield to give themselves a win con. Now playing Final Boss AJ, a fellow streamer over on Twitch. Let's see. Shadow Claws chunking both sides. AJ tries to catch onto a Skarmory, which lures out Bronzong. And once again, not like the best matchup in the world for Bronzong, because you're both hitting each other for resisted damage, and it takes quite some time to get to that payback. Will we see Fix go for the payback, or will he bait? He's going to let another move come through here. Going to shield. It could be a potential Brave Bird, right? And makes the correct call. Now, all of a sudden, you can go straight Psyshock, make this a little bit more comfortable for yourself. Psyshock might even knock out after that debuff. Yep. Knocks out the Skarm. You're not quite in Seed Bomb range, but not going to mess around. Just going to go straight for the Psyshock here. Psyshock grabs a shield from Trev. Bronzong putting in a lot of work. Wouldn't have hated to see the combo play, to be honest, because this Trev now just has so much energy. It's like, what do you do? And I would think Trev wins the charge attack priority. Gets denied. Unlucky. Unlucky getting denied the fast move on Dugong. Seed Bomb connects. Going to shield up this second one. And are we going to see what's in the back? It's a Frostlass. Going to have to bait the Ominous win. I don't think he's going to reach Shadow Ball before Avalanche, so I think you have to settle for another Ominous. Oh, I'm wrong. Oh, it's charge attack priority, and Frostlass actually wins the charge attack priority with the triple axle. Same energy as Avalanche. Going to go for the Drill Run. Unfortunately, I don't think Drill Run is going to be quite enough here, as Frostlass able to hold on and reach what's likely a knockout Shadow Ball right here. Boom, knocks out the Dugong, and that is a G to the G. Yeah, Ficht will be wishing he just threw the Ominous win there, but can't really blame him, right? New Pokemon. Hard to know who's going to win the charge attack priority there. And gets a rematch here, basically. Gets Giratina aligned with Frostlass, but this time has shields to hide behind. In comes Gliscor. Farms up a little extra before coming in with Dugong. Gliscor does have access to Earthquake here, so we could see an Earthquake come through. That is what comes through, does a lot of damage. But this should only be a Night Slash or an Aerial Ace, so I think you can tank this if you are Ficht. Night Slash, no problem, has all this energy. And if Frostlass comes in, Frostlass not going to be able to farm down before taking 2 charge moves. It's actually Skeledirge. I don't know if Dugong lives this Incinerate. Let's see. It does live. And gets off the move. And goes for the Savage Icy Wind Bait. Feeling like the opponent has to shield. Which they do. What a call. Now, like, where do you use your Bronzong? Yeah. So I was thinking, I'm like, Giratina just kind of sweeps everything here. So where the heck do you use Bronzong? Just going to sacrifice it here against the Skelly. And actually gets off the Psyshock before going down. Bronzong doing its thing. Shields to save the Disarming Voice. Was able to save the Disarming Voice. Shadow Ball knocks out, and luckily you still have a shield to hide behind. A clever play by the opponent. Needed to get off a move with the Frostlass there to give himself a chance, but that is a G to the G. G to the G. Tony Zhang, the next opponent. Terrific lead for Giratina. Annihilate does not want to see this, and the fact that they're staying in signifies they're probably double weak. Gonna actually shield the Night Slash here. Or Ice Punch, excuse me. Oh my gosh. Swapping Lantern into Giratina. That is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. They are very weak to the Gira. And going to be forced to eat a move here onto Giratina. Thunderbolt connects. It is resisted. Farming up energy. Going for the Ominous, which should just about knock out from this range. Ominous Wind does knock out. No boost. Let's see what decides to come in. I can't imagine it's going to be Annihilate. It's going to be a Powder Snow A9. And it has 2 solid answers, so I really like the play here of just pivoting into Dugong. Even if you lure out the Annihilate, that's totally fine. You eat the Gleam, gonna actually bait the Icy Wind. I don't think they bother shielding, to be honest, but maybe they do. Yeah, okay, they let it go. Annihilate comes in, but gonna be forced to throw. If this is Ice Punch, it might not even knock out. Ice Punch doesn't knock out. Double resist, that is brutal. And the opponent's gonna be regretting that. They probably are gonna be wishing that they did not throw that and just shielded anyway, committed to the full farm down. Because then they would have had energy for Gira, but now they might not have a move ready. So you come in with Gira and just commits to fast moves. Gonna let this go just so he can Shadow Claw down, get the final shield from the A9 with the Shadow Ball. And then LeBron Zong is gonna completely wall this poor Ice Fox. The opponent might think they have a chance, but no, sir. LeBron Zong too strong in this matchup. Nothing the A9 can do. They're gonna fire off a Dazzling Gleam perhaps to see how much it does. But that does less than half, my good friend. And LeBron Zong ringing the bell. Knocking out the A9 for a GG. Here we go. Dedenne. You'd think a good matchup for Dedenne, right? No, wrong. Although it's a fairy type against a dragon, it is taking neutral, same type attack bonus, ghost damage. It is dealing resisted electric damage. All it has to threaten is the play rough. So will we see a discharge bait potentially? We will. Dedenne baiting the discharge, trying to give itself a fighting chance in this matchup, but we see a catch onto Bronzong. Let's see. Oh, it was the play rough. What a catch by Ficht. What a catch. We're going to see Dedenne build up energy, store a play rough, and then go into Empoleon. I like this play by the opponent because they're thinking, how the heck am I going to deal with that Giratina that's still lurking? So they saved the play rough. We're going to see Empoleon build up quite a bit of energy, then throw here. Gonna, of course, knock out Bronzong. I think you can come in with either, to be honest. Let's see. Comes in with Gira. Oh, they don't even get to another move. Wow. This looks really good. Gonna bait the Ominous Wind like a savage. Ominous Wind. Oh, wait. I forgot how low Dedenne was. Not really a bait. All you need is Ominous Wind. And gonna successfully shield the play rough. There's a Trevenant in back, but ahead energy. We're gonna see Giratina get to the Shadow Ball first. And this is going to one-shot the Trevenant. And Shadow Claw down to the Dedenne. G to the G. Giratina. A real problem for lots of these teams we're seeing. Lots of these teams are ABA weak. Like, once again, bad lead for the opponent, but they're forced to stay in because they must be double weak to Giratina. And of course, in Catch Cup, you're not going to have the biggest arsenal of Pokemon, so you're probably going to be vulnerable to some things. My team certainly is vulnerable to some things. Ominous Wind grabs a shield. Gonna see a potential shield and full Shadow Claw down here from the Giratina. Come out with all sorts of energy. Shadow Ball would have, of course, knocked out, so a great use of a shield there. Gonna throw a Shadow Ball and perhaps dip into his own Dugong. Let's see. Shadow Ball dips into his own. Lures out the Ferrothorn. This is totally fine. This is totally fine because this is not, honestly, that bad of a matchup for Dugong. Ahead energy. You're going to be able to debuff. And we'll either reach this next Icy Wind first or it'll be a CMP. I didn't see if he got a 1 head start or a 2 head start. Loses the CMP, so maybe got a little bit greedy there. But you could argue maybe he didn't want to knock out the Pharaoh. Maybe he didn't want to knock out the Pharaoh and give a huge head start of energy to that opposing Dugong. Move coming through here, but this will not be enough to knock out Gira. Able to withstand, get off a Shadow Ball, and this chip damage, very valuable, will allow the Bronzong to clean up this Dugong before Dugong can ever reach 2 drill runs. Dugong just getting to that first drill run, but Bronzong only 2 confusions away from the Psyshock, which should be enough to knock out Bronzong, delivering the goods as per usual. And Giratina, I mean, with the setup, Giratina was so strong against that team. Shiny Trev, looking very cool. Neutral matchup, of course. Could argue favors Giratina based off the Shadow Claws. Giratina's Shadow Claws are doing a little bit more percentage-wise, and you also have the super effective Ominous Wind that you can go for, a cheaper move than the Shadow Ball. So a favorable matchup slightly for this Giratina. Gets the boost. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, dude. Gets the boost. Has energy. Oh my gosh. Double Ghost. Maybe it's triple Ghost. Maybe it's like Frostlash in the back. Ominous Wind. Grabs the shield. Oh my goodness, dude. He can reach Shadow Ball if he wants. He's going to settle for the Ominous here. Well, this probably won't be quite enough to knock out, but almost. You almost want a shield just in case you could like somehow sweep, but lets it go. Giratina took out basically 2 Pokemon and 2 shields. Absolutely insane. And this is a favorable matchup for the Dugong here, just because, similar to how we talked about Mantine, Icy Wind is going to be a little bit of a stronger move than the Mud Bomb. Opponent makes a clever play baiting the resisted Scald in order to get that debuff, but I think it's going to be too little too late here, as Dugong is just so bulky, can still withstand 2 Mud Bombs from this range. Whiscash would need like 3 Mud Bombs here, maybe even more, and an Icy Wind is going to put this Whiscash extremely low. Swaps into Bronzong just to flex, and going to be able to force the top left there. All right, tough lead. Tough lead. Let's see how he tries to escape this. Going to switch into Dugong. Sandslash has some solid play against the entire team. Dugong's probably his best answer. In comes Jelly. Yikes. I'll be impressed if Ficht fights out of this situation, because this looks pretty rough. This looks pretty rough. How the heck is he going to find his way out of this situation? Opponent should probably just go straight Shadow Ball. And this sets them up really nicely for a Hex down. This is one reason I ran Jellicent in the Knoxville Regional, is because I figured Dugong would be a little bit more popular, and Jellicent is really comfortable here against Dugong. Going for a Surf here. I would have preferred to see the opponent just go for a full Hex down, but they just want to get rid of it. Also makes sense. Gonna go for another move here. I wasn't counting. Is this Shadow Ball? Let's see. It's just Surf. Okay. But now you're down a shield. At least you have energy for the Slash. Gonna go for a bait here. This could be a massive call. If they protect shield this, suddenly maybe things aren't so bad. Going for the double bait. Ficht recognizes he's behind in this match. He needs to pull out all the breaks. Oh, but the opponent calls it. That is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. Ice Punch connects, and now this is just so much work for Bronzong. But if Sandslash only reaches 1 move, which I think it's only going to reach 1 move, suddenly maybe it's not over. Maybe they're weak to Bronzong in the back. Gets the farm down. Oh my gosh, dude. Bronzong coming in clutch when it looked like all hope was lost. Bronzong was the only one that did not lose hope. He played till the bitter end. And what looked to be an impossible situation has totally flipped the script. Super effective Psy Shock coming through onto Venusaur. Knocks it out. In some way, somehow, Ficht able to overcome a terrible lead in that game. Here we go. I think this is the final battle of this video. If you guys stayed to the very end, I appreciate you. Longer video. This Giratina just wreaking havoc, man. Stores all the energy, comes in with Bronzong, predicting that they're not running Hydro Pump, so Bronzong being able to resist everything that Azu can throw here. Gonna throw 2 Confusions. Azu throws after 2 Bubbles. And once again, Ficht can throw after 2 Confusions here for proper timing, and he is going to do exactly that. Azu may reach a 3rd play rough, though, which could potentially force a Protect Shield out of Ficht. Yeah, I actually like this play by Ficht. Throw the Psy Shock. Don't force yourself to unnecessarily use a shield. We may see Charge Bug get a farm down here, which isn't ideal. But as long as they're not running Crunch, like you totally wall, I think you let it go. Okay, no. Gonna respect the potential Crunch, but it's just an X-Scissor. In comes Skarm. Goes a little bit over 100 energy there, so a bit of a mistake. But I think is still in a pretty fine position. going to let this first one go through with a, which I think is really smart, right? Skarmory users probably not going to want to debuff themselves so early into a matchup when they know charge moves are coming their way. So calls it. Now might even be able to live a Brave Bird. So I don't think you really need to shield here. I think you just save your shields for Giratina. That's exactly what Ficht is going to do. I guess the awkward thing is they could shield this, Steel Wing down, and then save all that energy. Could be a little bit awkward. Opponent makes a nice catch. I think it's the right play. But if you're Ficht, as long as you come out of this with a lot of energy, you're totally fine. Because you don't really need to shield anything from this charge bug. Let's see how this plays out. Ominous Wind. You definitely let this go. Also, Skarm's really low, so maybe you just commit to fast moves. There's no reason to throw a charge move here unless you get to double Ominous. And the Skarm user feels like they're not going to be able to win that. So they top left. And that is a showcase, ladies and gentlemen, of Giratina Origin. First time ever being seen in the Great League. Make sure you do that Sinnoh Tour research to get your research level Giratina. And maybe try to trade it with a friend to get it below 1500 CP and use it like we saw Enrique in Ficht use today. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, comment down below. All comments are appreciated, and share it with your friends. All that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.